Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Franklin County Fiscal Court video teleconference regular meeting of June 30th, 2022. This is our work session, so we call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda, we have a department head who, John Mitchell, who has lost his father last week, and I would like for all of us, because John Mitchell is one of our family members, to give a moment of silence for his father, Charles Mitchell, that died last week. So a moment of silence for Charles Mitchell. Thank you, and God bless you, John, and your family. The next item is we'll stand for the pledge. Abby from a 2nd Street School student is going to lead us in the pledge. Everybody please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Abby. Great job. Thank you. I hope you have a nice summer. All right, next item on the agenda, Andrew, you have a presentation because this weekend is the 4th of July, and everybody knows probably starting tonight, definitely tomorrow night, what happens for the next 2 or 3 nights. And so, Andrew, would you do your presentation?
Yes, sir. Just give me 1 second here.
Hello, my name is Brian Brewer from the Franklin County Fire Department. Summer is here and we often find ourselves celebrating the season with cookouts, pool parties, and fireworks. It is important to know that the use of fireworks can be extremely dangerous. Fireworks present fire hazards to nearby structures, and they also pose serious risks of injury if used improperly. We want everyone to have a safe and enjoyable season, so let's take a look at some tips to help keep you safe.
Children should not be around pyrotechnics without adult supervision. Kids should never be allowed to ignite or play with fireworks under any circumstances. Even sparklers can be dangerous and pose serious risks to their health and safety. This is due to the fact that they burn at an extremely high temperature and their sparks can easily catch their clothing on fire. Alcohol and fireworks do not mix. Save the drinks for after the show or choose a designated detonator. Planning is key. Fireworks should only be used in an open area. Kentucky law requires fireworks to be detonated at least 200 feet away from any structure. It is also important that you completely read all of the instructions on the back of the packaging prior to igniting your display. Pyrotechnics should only be detonated on a flat, fireproof surface that is free from flammable debris. You should always keep a hose or a bucket of water nearby in order to quickly extinguish any fireworks or their remnants. Also, you should set up a viewing area that is far away from the launch zone to ensure that all spectators are kept at a safe distance. Additionally, make sure that your pets are in a safe, secure location prior to beginning your festivities. Never try to relight a dud firework. If it fails to ignite, please wait at least 20 minutes before dousing the package in water, and then dispose of all of the remnants in a metal trash can.
We also ask that you are courteous to your neighbors when enjoying your fireworks display. As a general rule, we ask that you try not to use fireworks after 11 p.m. You should be aware that the City of Frankfort also has an ordinance that imposes stricter regulations on fireworks within the city limits. You can contact City Hall for more information. Of course, the safest way to enjoy fireworks this summer is to let the professionals handle the job.
Frankfort celebrates Independence Day on Monday, July 4th at 9:30 p.m. in downtown Frankfort. Join the Frankfort community and VFW Post 4075 in partnership with Buffalo Trace for our annual July 4th fireworks show. They will be launched from the Kentucky River at Taylor Avenue and US 127. Residents are encouraged to view the display from downtown Frankfort.
Thank you for watching and have a safe and fun summer.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Good job. Thank you, Chief Brewer, for your presentation as well. And community, you've heard, be safe, be careful, and do the right thing, and also be courteous of your neighbors.
Thank you, Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace is sponsored. That's correct. Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is Jailer Bana. You're here to talk about your commissary update, and also we're going to go ahead and have you look at another item on the agenda while you're on.
I appreciate that, Judge. Hello, Court. Glad to be here. I'm very glad it's summertime, and I hope everybody has a good 4th of July weekend. This is for information. I'm trying to be more transparent with the court, and we're making some changes at the jail with our commissary. After a long time of looking into this, months, maybe even a year or so, after doing some research, I think it's time to outsource our commissary for several different reasons. After speaking to Lawrence Wright, which was a longtime commissary, I asked why we have never done it. We're one of the few jails, only jail I know of, that any jails that I have communication with, that we do our own in-house commissary. And the reason they did that for many, many years is to keep the costs down for the inmates, which I totally understand and agree with. The company we are going to partner with lets us choose our pricing, so we can now handle that. I don't believe that was the case back in the day. I wasn't involved with that. I can't 100% testify that, but I know that was part of the discussion with the company that I'm joining with, is we can dictate our pricing to keep the price down as low as we can for the inmates and the families. The case we have now, the problem is supply. The canteen and the commissary companies that are in all the jails across the state are buying by the truckloads, tractor trailer loads. When we buy, we go to Sam's Club and buy a couple carts, and it's not available anymore. So getting the products to the inmates has become a major task over the last 6 months. The benefits for outsourcing are several. Manpower is number one. With us, we have 2 people in commissary that run commissary, has for a while now. With doing this, I only need 1. I can take one of those individuals out and put them in another position to benefit the jail. As you all know, manpower is always a task. With that said, on a side note, I have had about 7 interviews this week, so we've been blessed. There's more options for us to do for the inmates too. Their category log or their shopping list will dramatically increase availability, which increases revenue for our commissary fund, which in turn helps us help the community and the county. Plainly said, the access to the shortages is a main reason that I'm looking at this. We're not being able to fill orders on a weekly basis for the inmates. So lots of research, looked at several different jails, talked to several different jailers. Most jailers I've talked to says their commissary revenue on a yearly basis is a 25 to 30% increase. We sent the contracts down to Rick Sparks, and me and Rick's had several discussions. And the company I've chose to go with is a local company. Their warehouse is out on Duncan Road. It's Kelwell Commissary Providers. And we've done extensive research and looked at that very, very closely. So the reason for tonight is just to let you know, in case you get any phone calls from your constituents, that our commissary is going to improve, and we're excited about that.
Jailer, is there any particular items that would be new that would cause a 25% increase in your call in the revenue?
It's not really a particular item. It's the amount of items they offer that we just can't get access to.
Do you have an example of something along that line?
Like right now, we're having a hard time getting ramen noodles. Ramen noodles is the #1 seller in this jail for snacks. They're buying them by the tractor truckload. I can't talk tonight. We're buying them by the cases, and they're hard to find. So, I mean, that's just one example I can give you, but their shopping list is so much bigger than what we can offer going to Sam's.
Is this contract on a yearly basis?
This contract is a 3-year contract, but it has a 30-day out. I will add also, one of the owners of Kelwell is a former Montgomery County jailer. I've known him for years now. I trust that he's going to do the right thing, and we've researched it very, very well.
All right, good deal. Anybody have any questions on that? Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Jailer, thank you for being on. So I guess what you're saying is this isn't going to change anything in your budget. It'll actually help you because you'll gain an officer and the extra money or any money will be put on the inmates, correct?
We're talking about inmate money. Absolutely. Now it'll help the community. As you know, the commissary account pays for a lot of things for our community service program, all our education and stuff of that nature. It will enhance that. If we get a 25% increase this year, that's more classes we can do. That's more programs we can do. But it has nothing to do with tax dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for the jailer on that item? All right, Mr. Jailer, thank you for that presentation. Now you want to go to item 5, authorization approving memorandum of agreement between Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Corrections and the Franklin County Regional Jail.
I appreciate you moving that up. I'm gonna let Chief Mazzacone do that while I was taking care of commissary. He took care of this contract. It's exciting too.
Okay. Chief Mazzacone.
Hello, everyone. This is a 2-year contract with the Department of Corrections. They are going to 2022 to 2024. There's not really enough history on this yet to go ahead and be able to amend our budget for an increase in revenue. This is the first time this has been done. So we're going to be watching it. We get incentives for teaching different classes in the inmates, the state inmates that graduate from these programs. It starts off at $2 a day. If you just go to page 14 and 15 of that thick packet that we sent down, all the different amounts for the classes for reimbursement to the county is there. We currently have hired an instructor. We're waiting on the Department of Corrections approval before we start the classes because they won't pay us until they approve of the instructor. The classes are already planned out, and so we're really excited about this. And the best thing about this is it gets inmates time off their sentences for completing these classes.
Okay. Any questions? Squire Sebastian?
Just a quick one. Thank you, Judge. Is this similar? I noticed reference to the Good Time program. This dovetails with that, correct?
Correct. This is another way for Department of Corrections to go ahead and get the inmates out earlier before their sentence.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Broadband Expansion Award. We have on the line Gary Zing. Gary, welcome. Is there anyone else from the planning board on the line with you?
Yes, I have my board chairman, Mr. Cuban, in the room. And also I have my CFO, David Denton, and my superintendent, Adam. Adam Sean with us too?
Yeah, he's hanging out somewhere. You might not have his camera on, but he's on.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been announced, the governor has helped Franklin County quite a bit with monies to provide the broadband expansion across Franklin County. And you all were very smart about doing 11 different projects because you weren't sure that you would get approval of all 11 of them, but you thought you'd get at least approval of some of them, but you got them all. So we thank the governor, we thank the legislators for the appropriation, and we thank you, the fiscal court thanks you, the Frankfurt Plant Board. So Mr. Zing, if you would, or whoever is going to, if you can kind of give us an overview, and I see a map up there, that's great, of the areas that will be covered as part of this broadband coverage. So I'll let you take over. Thank you, Mr. Zing.
Thank you, Judge. And actually, first of all, I think I want to thank you and all the magistrate and also staff of the from county. This is the true partnership. So it's not a we win the bid, it's the partner, the county, the citizen really win this award. Ms. Cuban is here, my board chairman.
I just want to mention, Judge, and again, thank you all for your support and all of Fiscal Court for supporting us. I know Adam's going to kind of walk through logistically what happens next, but one of the things we talked about at our last board meeting this month was we're interested if you had a couple of designees, staff or magistrates who wanted to work with us informally for communication purposes as we go through this in the upcoming months to keep you all in the loop, to let you know where we're going, what the engineering reports look like, what's going on with materials, how we're laying the plan out, go back and forth, answer your all's questions, get information to you, not just at your board meeting, but get it to you as it's happening. Kathy Lindsay, who's our communications person who does a great job, is going to be working on doing like some interim newsletters for you all to have that you could share with your communities, your neighbors, to let them know what's going on, to answer questions, what's happening. So, we want to put that in motion. And like I said, if there's a couple people, staff or magistrates who want to work with us, that'd be great. And kind of go back and forth and keep the communication open. And if it's all right with you, I'll turn it over to Adam, let him kind of walk through the logistics of how this is going to kind of roll out.
If you just hold on one second, Adam, hold on one second. John, I want to kind of rephrase or re-look at what you just said. Are you asking for the magistrates to give Kathy Lindsay a call to be informed, to get progress reports? Are you asking for staff to get a hold of Kathy Lindsay so we can give an update? I'm not sure what you're asking for when you say you want some staff and magistrates.
What I suggest is, and obviously this is a fiscal court decision. What we were thinking would be great is if you had a one or two magistrates or a magistrate and a staff person who kind of wanted to work with us on the point of the project, and then we'd match them up with our people, and they could be having regular communication and keeping you all updated and our board updated. And then anytime you all wanted us to appear at your at a fiscal court meeting, we'll be giving updates in our regular board meeting. But actually, if we had some key contacts on your all side and then on our side, I think our thinking was that would really help with communications back and forth, that they could kind of let each other know on a daily basis, not daily, but on a regular basis, what's happening.
All right. Squire Sebastian wants to do it.
I'd love to do it.
Okay, Squire Sebastian now, and I think everybody's okay with that. And I'll also appoint Andrew Tippett. So Andrew Tippett from the Franklin County staff and Squire Sebastian from the elected officials point will be our people. So I'll tell you that. And I'll leave your staff to be in contact with them. If you want to contact our office, Tamara Herod, you contact her and then she will get the staff joined up with you, whatever way you want to go with it. But Tamara is our point person in the office. Andrew will be our point person from the office with your staff, and Sherry Sebastian will be the point person from the elected official standpoint.
That'd be good. Sherry, we'll get you a copy. We'll get you some keys to a bucket truck and some wire cutters.
Amen. I've been needing a bucket truck. I appreciate that, John. I can operate that thing. I can operate it.
Tree trimmers.
Can you really? That's correct. I can operate it.
Andrew wants you to give him the spikes to climb the pole. He wants to climb the pole.
There we go. That's a partnership.
All right, so we got that settled. That's good. Thank you, John, for that information. We'll turn Adam and to the general public that's watching. There's a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns, but the most important question is, am I going to be covered? So let's see what we can do to help answer that question, Adam. Thank you.
All right. So this is the very early stages. We haven't even got all the documents put to bed yet. But so basically what we've done on the plant board side is we've contacted our engineering firm and asked them to start doing the walkout. And basically what the walkout is, for people that don't know, is they will actually send personnel to the field and they will walk all these routes, and That's how they come up with their final design. And part of the walkout is they're going to mark the poles, they're going to measure them, they're going to, see what properties we need to get in. And so when they bring that back, that's what they're going to base their final design on. And as a part of that final design, that's when we get into the areas where we really need the magistrates and the people in the community, because that's what's going to generate the easements and the properties we need to access to, serve your neighbor or actually bring the service to you. So that walkout, our initial conversation, they think they can get it done in 12 to 16 weeks. And like I said, this is a true walkout. They will actually be walking these areas and measuring everything. And the other thing they do is that when they measure the poles, they see if anything has to be done as far as it needs tree trimming, if the pole needs to be replaced, if the utility, Bluegrass, AT&T, or whoever's on that pole needs to raise or whatever they need to do. They bring all that stuff back to us, and that's when we start doing the final design. 12 to 16 weeks. At that point, we'll start generating the easements, and of course, that's all this kind of has to be done before we can put the first piece of fiber in the air. So, not that we would wait for all the easements to be signed. I mean, I'm estimating probably, I know at least 2,000 easements, but the way some other projects have went, it might be up to 2,500 different properties that we would have to have easements for. So,
Hey, Adam, I've got Squire Sebastian has a question. Are you ready for questions, or you want to continue on?
No, I'm fine. It's probably better for questions, so I can kind of answer what you're looking for.
Sure, and I appreciate you being on with us tonight. So, Mr. Hillard, when do you anticipate the process to kick off, so we'll kind of understand that time frame for the 12 to 16 weeks? Is that like July 1, August 1?
Yeah, I mean, we had this meeting with them probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I think they're trying to get people lined out. So, I mean, it could be as far as start July 1, I'm sure. Because they'll start doing the walkout.
Correct, that is tomorrow.
Yeah, so let's pause for the holiday weekend, so probably next week. I mean, some of these areas, and we've already did a walkout for Harvey Land Road. That's actually walked out and design's been done. We've actually had those easements ready. Staff's been working on those easements, so we might actually reach out to some people to see if we can get some help getting those easements signed so we can get that built. That was a project that we already had loaded, as we talked before. That was one area that we were doing anyway, so a lot of that work has been done. And the easements, I think there's 65 easements that need to be signed for that project to take off.
Oh, Adam, if you don't mind, to piggyback on what John Cubine had initially talked about, I think what I would say, ask of you all, is if Sherry is going to be our elected official's point of contact, I would like for you to work with Sherry to work with to get other magistrates to come in, to listen to understand, to get the paperwork, to go through a training. Actually, the first one that should be doing that would be Lambert Moore, because Harvey Land is right in the middle of his district. And so I think that's the key is we start with our magistrates. They know most of the people, if not all. And what we could do is once you bring Sherry and Andrew aboard, we'll move out to the other magistrates and get them involved.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. That makes the best sense.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And the other thing we were looking at, working with Kathy Lindsay, in engineering, kind of going back and forth with some ideas is, a lot of these are small little communities. And so as we get closer, we thought about doing kind of, maybe not for this one, but the other ones, is to have a little community get together when we ask for these easements to kind of explain the product, explain what the easement's for. And a lot of people need to understand 99% of this is going to ride on the existing utility pole route. So even though we're asking for an easement, most of those easements you've already provided to the local energy provider or AT&T. So it's not like we're coming through and setting new poles or any of that thing. We're actually just going to come through and attach.
I might mention, if I could, Judge, and the Squire Sebastian, like when we were doing Shadrick Ferry, Squire Tracy and Sheriff Quar were a huge asset. Neighbors will have all kinds of questions. Like Adam said, are we going to tear up their yards? Are we going to bring a backhoe in? I mean, we'll need what we call friendlies, people who will say, I'd like to go first. I want to hook up. I want to know if it works. I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to be an early on test to see if it goes. But we'll have people, and there may be people who will hold out and say, I'm not going to sign the easement. I'm not going to let you come. Then we'll have to go back and redesign to try to get around them or to assure them that it's okay to let us come, even if they don't want us, even if they don't want the service. We may need to use that pole to get across there and to make sure they know it's voluntary. They're under no obligation. And like Adam said, putting together some type of community events out in the various areas of the county. People come in, we'll have the staff there. They can ask questions, show them what's going to happen, talk about the product, let them know they don't have to take it. And the cable will be there, the fiber. And if some point a year from now they want it, it'll be there. It's not, they don't have to do it now or never get it again, and answer all those kind of questions.
Squire Tracy has gone through that. You want to say something, Squire Tracy?
Yeah, I think what we thought would be easy in getting the easement signed turned out to be very difficult with some. So my question would be, what's the chances of, when you talk community event, what's the chances of us using, let's say, our fire stations, which are strategically placed?
Right.
Sure.
And then let's have a big event, let's say Orrington Road Fire Station. We could invite Swallowfield, you can start inviting those groups in for maybe a presentation to be given by your group, and then they could sign the easements on that day on site.
Yeah, that's what kind of what we were looking at, fire stations, maybe some, some churches and things of that nature, just to kind of zero in on the people, around that area.
Okay. And Adam's going to cook. Adam will bring food and cook, right, Adam?
Exactly, cupcakes.
Okay, all right.
I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions, and like I said, we're kind of walking through this. One thing I will add, we've already talked to the construction team and trying to get those guys prepped to get everything, so we can move on this as fast as we can.
And Adam, you might add, we're making some adjustments. We're going to have to add some warehouse space. We're going to have a lot of materials to store, cable, all kinds of stuff. How many feet of cable, Adam, did you say we had pulled?
This project's right at 1 million feet. So, and that's the other thing we're working on is, some material has been an issue and it continues to be an issue. So we're trying to get way ahead of this. And so we split the project up among engineering staff as well and assigned them areas. And hopefully by next week, they will start red tagging or marking material that needs to happen for this job. And we can't get into the finer details of the build as far as material, but the overall, the strand, anchors, things of that nature, the known consumables, we're going on and getting those materials red tagged and getting them ordered. So we'll make sure they're here when we need them.
Adam, if you don't mind, can you go back to the map and kind of walk us through the different areas? And I know that they, there's a number of homes. Some of the areas have one of them has like 8 homes.
Nineveh.
Yeah, and then
there's an area. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, like the areas 8 and 9, Keaton, Nineveh Road. Those are small numbers. There's a Highway 1472. There's 8 customers there, and that is in actually Area 10. Yeah, so there's little pockets, and we can kind of touch on how some of those roll out. So like areas 8 and 9, as you can see right above that, we already have facilities. One of the big things today is we can't serve those properties because of the technology we use. So like areas 8 and 9, they will actually be picked up as we start our overbuild in that area for ourselves. So those are smaller builds. Don't take nearly as enough effort as far as engineering and easements because they're so small. But, basically, though each area is a little bit different. I think the largest area is Ball Knob, Bryant Benson, St. John's, Area 2, as far as number of homes. No, I take that back. It's actually area 5 is going to be the number, the bigger number of homes. So, but all those are we're the walkout phase. I think we're starting in 2 and 5, and some of that has to do with what we have engineered already. But yeah, and actually, right there on the map shows the different areas. Area 1, 332, area 2, 594. So you have those numbers there in front of you.
Now so Lambert, I know I've gotten some emails from some of your constituents. Mount Zion Road, they want to know, is Mount Zion being covered? Yes.
Who will be running the fiber optic? Will plant board personnel do it, or you got contractors?
Well, we will have contractors, and right now, actually, we have a contract with Fiscal Company. So I know if you've been in the contract world as far as gas and water, Fiscal Company's been around for 70 years, and the last, I don't know, they started doing internet broadband telecom services, I don't know, several years ago. And so we've actually teamed up with them, and they will be doing the construction.
And Lambert, Ashwar,
Any of it be underground or it be all overhead?
It depends on where we go. So if it's an underground subdivision, we'll be underground. If it's aerial, I would say 90% of the county is overhead. But it's even like with Shadrick Ferry is a good example. It's all overhead utilities except for the service going to the house. And so in those situations, we followed the electric service. So we built everything aerial, but if the service is going to your house underground, we took it underground. So it's the same.
I'd like to say that they did a most awesome job for folks who have underground utilities and honored the layout very, very, very well. Thank you all very much.
Some were challenging, but I think we got them done.
Far more, I might just mention, as you can imagine, the entire nation, because of federal funds, various general assemblies and states, the whole nation is trying to do broadband at one time. So you can imagine what that's doing to prices, availability. The other thing we're finding is when and Adam's been doing a great job contacting contractors and getting them lined up. We had one crew, I won't call the names, we had one crew of 7 teams who were going to come in, and they called us and basically said, we're coming your way, but we got a better deal in Alabama. We won't be there. Yep. They'd already said they were coming, but they said, no, Alabama's paying more. Yep. And they were coming out of another southern state, and they just said, we're going where the money is. So if you've got a product to sell or you got a service to sell, it's your market right now.
Yeah. Good enough.
Squire Mahler.
Thank you, Judge. Gentlemen, thank you for being on tonight. Question, what is your estimated overall timeline start to finish? I know you said you could potentially start next week on the walkouts, but I mean, I think I remember 3 years maybe was thrown around before.
All the documents and the grants that we filled out, they had a finish date of December of 25. We're going to try to do it as fast as we can, just because we know what Mr. Cubine just said as far as the labor market and materials. So our idea is to cut it, or is to shorten that length up as much as we possibly can.
Okay, thank you.
And Gary, I also want Ann Northcutt to be on. Ann, I don't know whether I haven't seen you on, but if you are on, I want you to be part of working with the plant board, because we're going to need your help as part of the process too. There you are. I see you, Ann. Okay.
Yes, I'll be happy to.
Yes. Just thank you to mention that actually Ann helped us a lot in the application process. And we try to ask a meeting communication with KIA, state agency. So it's a great help for Ann to help us. But just I want to be honest with you, this is the one largest we apply grant for a while, at least last 4 years I'm here. So is a learning curve to us. I'm so glad we got that done. Really, I mean, appreciate that. Thank you.
Gary or Mr. Denton, I know that this is a partnership and it's a wonderful partnership, but as part of the partnership, we have committed monies and the way that the last time we talked, we agreed that, or the court asked that you spread it out over 3 years. So we do know if it's going to be a 2-year project, you're probably going to need it in less than 3 years, but you are going to need some money. So if you'll work through Ann, Ann would be perfect, knows how to do all of that. And she will be your point of contact to when you're going to ask for monies to work through Ann on that.
Thank you, Judge. We will do.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? Seeing none, this is an extremely exciting moment for our community. We're very honored and proud that we have a local municipal agency working inside our community. And I know that the needs are, every one of you that are elected sitting here have needs in your areas. And we're really lucky that the state looked at Franklin County and said, we're going to fund your whole county. We're going to take care of it. So we're honored, and we're going to do the best we can to get it going as soon as possible. We know that there are issues, and I think we set up a plan. Squire Sebastian, thank you. Andrew Tippett and Northcutt, thank you. And we look forward to getting this moving forward and getting broadband and moving to the 21st century in our county.
Yes.
So thanks very much, Plant Board Community Project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is authorization for approval of minutes from a regular meeting of June 16th. Anything on that needs to be discussed? All right. Then the next item on the agenda is authorization to receive payments of our 2021 excess fees from our county clerk, Mr. Hancock.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How's everybody doing?
Oh, yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
That sounded strange.
I know it does.
This is simply the end of our audit season. We finally got our audit completed. They haven't given us our report back, but no major findings, so you're not going to read about anything that's an issue. But this allows me to release the last 10% of our holdings, which is a grand total of $95,362. So it gives you a grand total of over $1,095,362,074 in total excess fees for the year.
Is that the largest you've ever given?
Yes, it's the largest Franklin County's ever got that. Awesome. And we'll have to have discussions about that as that comes. You know, part of that, we don't just end up with extra excess fees at the end of the day. We're doing more excess fees because we're doing more business.
Yeah.
We're busting at the seams over there. We can't do any more business with the amount of employees I have. It won't be, we will have to have that conversation at some point. The money can come in and we can continue sending it this way. But if it continues and the lines are there every single day, we're just going to have a conversation about what it takes to take care of the public.
Lines every day.
Every day. Yes, sir.
Do you have a cap on employees? Is that what you're?
Well, I've got a cap on payroll and we're not there yet. But it's maximum amount of deputies. And I talked to Susan about that a little bit today. You all have only passed my total line item budget. But when I came in, I had a total line item of total amount of deputies. We haven't done that in several years. I want to make sure we're complying on that. I don't want anybody to think that we're not, you know, we're doing something we're not supposed to be doing, or right now we are under anything we've ever had. But it takes money to put another employee in there, train another employee. As I told you last time, I've got 2 that are living on maternity leave. You know, we've got to pay them, but we have to I can't have 2 across the front line out for maternity leave for 6 weeks each. Because if that happens, I mean, you think the lines are bad now, December, I'll have them wrapped around the building and over to the courthouse.
So I guess my question is, you don't have any vacancies per se?
I don't have any set vacancies right now, Scott.
Okay.
I do not.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'll leave that alone.
Yeah, you know, Jeff, and we think back, we've been together, I guess, about 8 years now.
Yes, sir.
And you're turning $1 million over in excess fees. You've always turned over excess fees, and this is the largest amount in Franklin County history. And it's amazing, and the job that you've done, the great work that your staff has done, and we can't thank you enough for that. It's just awesome. Thank you.
Well, the staff's done amazing, but once again, when I started as clerk 8 years ago, we had a budget of roughly $14.5 million, and I looked this up. Last year, we did over $18 million. We did a $4 million increase in an 8-year period of time. You can't bring $4 million more in with the same amount of employees. It doesn't work that way.
Sure.
In any business, it doesn't work. That business model just doesn't work. So it's time for us to start having that conversation.
And you know, another piece of that you can't overlook was COVID. And there was a lot of issues about how you stay open during that time.
And you did.
And you did. And you were there. You were there through the whole time. And so that's amazing. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Well, thank you.
It's great. Now we have is there another one?
I've got 3 items on there.
Right.
Can we do them all at once?
Yes, let's please, sir. Yes, sir.
What's the next one?
The next
Board
one
of
is,
Assessment.
the Board of Assessment appeals.
We did your Board of Assessments last Tuesday. Board assessments went really well. I brought this up on many different levels. The Board of Assessments was built and designed to take care of anybody, any constituents you had that wanted to appeal their property tax value. We had 0 in-house, when I'm saying in-house constituents, you had 0 homeowners that came in and did appeal their property value. So your PBA Kelly Lang is just doing a wonderful job. But the people that continue and will continue to do these appeals are your commercial businesses. And quite frankly, I think it's time for the courts, for KCO, for KMCA to put something in effect. You know, they're going to appeal to the local level and they're going to go right past it to the state. So they're wasting a lot of people's money, time, and effort trying to appeal these. They need to be doing that at the state level. It's time to get that out of the local appeals board and get it up to the state level. Because 10 out of 10 times what I'm saying, they're taking that appeal, they're having the appeal, and then they're automatically appealing the appeal to the state.
Jeff, is the classification on the type of business, the size of the business, or what?
Since I've been here in 8 years, it's really changed. Of course, our landscape's changed in 8 years. You picked up the really nice shopping center out at John Davis, and you picked up some really nice places, but they were all full. You know, as soon as they got down, now you're looking at vacancy rates, and you're asking local appeals board to start talking about vacancy rates, and you're talking about what's the value of the land based on vacancy rate. They're not qualified for that conversation. They're great realtors, they're great local community members, but they're just not qualified. I mean, it would take a calculator and 2 accountants and an actuary to figure out exactly what the vacancy rate, what the value base would be at that point. So our appeals, once again, they get paid $100 each for 3 of them. They do a great job, but this is just something that it's time for the state to step up and start taking those appeals away from the lowest local jurisdiction and go ahead and take them at the state level.
I guess what I'm asking is a little different than what you're talking about. So as the appeals board, once an entity comes in, are they classified as residential and commercial? And then the commercial are the ones that are coming in. But does the state say that automatically at a certain size, commercial buildings go to them if there's an appeal?
No, the appeals can appeal past the local level and go to the state level, which has the overall jurisdiction.
In a residential or commercial?
Yes.
Okay.
You never get past it in the residential. Most of the time you can make some discrepancy of, I've got an appraisal, you got an appraisal, it's worth something.
Yeah.
You know, appraisal is an educated opinion. Most people forget that. That's what an appraisal is. It's two appraisers don't always come out to the same number. It is not a mathematical scientific idea. It's a very educated opinion.
Do you know what happens to them when they get to the state?
I do not. It becomes out of our hands. You eventually get your tax dollars. This is all about tax dollars. The state, the county, the taxing jurisdictions end up with their tax dollars, but most of them appeal and they appeal again and they appeal. And it's your big box stores. They've learned that if they do this, it holds it up. They're not paying a penalty on it because they're appealing it. So I really don't.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Piece of business then.
Yes, it is becoming a normal piece of business to appeal past.
I've heard through travels that there are certain countries in Europe that individual homeowners and business people set their own tax rate. But if they do, then they cannot sell their property over the value of what they set as the tax rate. So in other words,
you put
Yeah, that is a tremendous idea.
Okay. Well, Jeff, thanks again. And if you don't mind, you're going to be here in just a second. We're going to bring Robert on and we're going to talk. I believe the next item on the agenda is we're going to talk about professional mapping.
Yeah, and Robert, I think Robert's on, and me and Robert have discussed this. I really wanted to bring a full contract to you guys. I want to bring a full contract for you all to be able to look at. At this point, we were not able to do that. We were able to bring you a draft of a contract to look at. I wanted to point a couple of things out before Robert gets started. The last time we did this mapping, does everybody understand the difference in redistricting and reapportionment?
Yes.
I think it really gets lost in the weeds when you start talking.
Would you explain that? Because we are on the public is watching, Jeff, so maybe they.
A reapportionment is simply a recount of the people in your districts, in your precinct, and the precincts that make up your district. A redistricting is a remapping, a changing of the mapping lines. What we are tasked with at the county level is a reapportionment. We are recounting and making sure that everybody sitting around the table and Squire Mueller all have the equal representation. What they don't want is for Squire Blackburn to be representing 20,000 while the rest of you represent 4,000 or 5,000. It's unequal representation. It takes away from the constituent having an equal representation at the table. So reapportioning, it only happens once every 10 years. I happened to look in behind me because I was trying to figure out the last time it was.
It was done in 10, because I lost the precinct.
It was done in 10. And the reapportioning based reason I'm bringing this up, the last time it was done, you were still had pagers and we were still given, nobody had emails quite yet, and we just weren't up to date with technology. I looked up a bunch of different technology things that have come about since 2010, but in 2010, this process was done with what's called census blocks. You took census blocks and you made the census blocks, which are square, fit into your precinct bases. You took those precinct bases, which should be equal and contiguous. Contiguous means it never stops. It's a contiguous circle. It starts at one end and ends at one end. And you fit these blocks without breaking the blocks into your precincts. Since we have come back from 2010, and where I'm going with this, technology has changed dramatically. Your Bluegrass Ag District, which represents 17 counties in central Kentucky, now has a mapping tool. This mapping tool will allow the census downloads to go directly into the mapping diagram. So the census blocks drop in and they can shift lines electronically down the middle of streets. It'll take out the problems we've all seen in the past, where the farm, the front side of it sits in the first and the back side sits in the fifth. Well, they drive out on the fifth, but they're truly in the first. It takes all of this complication away. It allows for everybody to make sure they have equal representation. We will have it within 1%. Every magistrate in here will have within 1% of the exact same amount of voters from the day of the census completion.
And after this is done, this data is put together, magisterial districts are redrawn or drawn. And then in May, the county judge appoints a committee, a commission.
That's correct. Before May the 23rd, the sitting county judge will put a commission together. This commission will be entitled to make sure that the streets line up, that everything, but it won't be the old, I'm going to pull a marker out. We're going to put this part of St. John's and this portion of Ball Knob and this portion. It's not going to be hand done. It's going to be sitting in front of a computer monitor, much like this. And they'll be breaking it down. They'll be taking the streets. It will take all the guesswork out of it. Something else it will take. We'll be able to drop the voter data in it. There will be no more question. The voter data will match the map. So now instead of having a stagnant map and a movable map, we will have one map that will be the same. So if you see your map, if you see your house on that map and your map is over here in the fifth, you are officially in the fifth district.
And then once that committee is done and it's all reviewed and you all work together, they come back and they present it to the fiscal court.
It comes in front of the fiscal court for a final approval. So it always is, once again, it's going to be up to the fiscal court to vote on it, but this will be an accurate representation of the entire county. We won't have, and we've got good maps out there now. And the reason we have good maps out there right now is because Robert Hewitt takes time out of his day to work with me and sit there as I'm saying, no, that street's on the wrong level. That, no, it's Northwest Gate and Westgate. It goes right down the middle of, and to sit there and have to go do that, it becomes really tedious because we're using stagnant information. So if all of a sudden we get a 200 level house over in the 300 level block, it's in the wrong magisterial. So it becomes really frustrating and hard to do. This time we're going to have electronic on top of electronic.
Robert, are you on? Robert Hewitt?
Yes, sir.
You want to add to what Mr. Hancock has discussed?
Well, I would like to say that Mr. Hancock is 100% accurate in everything he just said. Historically, the county utilized paper maps and used highlighters and pens to create these districts, which is not the most accurate way to do it, of course. Now the county has the mapping software and technology to be able to, to pinpoint these boundaries and make it as accurate as it can be. All the way down, as he said, to the individual lot designation. So the service that the Bluegrass ad will provide, as Mr. Hancock said, is a technical service. It could be done, by staff, but I don't have enough staff, and it's a very dedicated project. So the outsourcing this would be my recommendation to the Bluegrass ad. Once that information is completed and it's submitted to the fiscal court, and ultimately once it's approved, we will then have digital maps in which the county will have the ability to provide that information to candidates, voters, things of that nature. Whereas now, since the paper map is glued to a foam board, you can't get an actual copy of the district unless you take a photograph of it. And there's only two originals in the county. One's in the county clerk's office, one's in the judge executive's office. So this provides a great opportunity for the county to provide more information to everyone in this community and to make it as accurate as possible for equal representation. So if the court approves this contract, once it's finally presented, I will provide much of the county data, the geographic information data. Mr. Hancock will provide the voter data to the Bluegrass ad. They will prepare the reapportionment districts for your consideration, and then I will serve as myself and Mr. Hancock will serve as quality control on the work that the Bluegrass ad did to make this the best product possible.
So, Mr. Hancock has been working with the ad on this. There are other companies that it was discussed, is the Bluegrass ad the only company that can do this? No, they're not, but the other companies are about 4 times more expensive and provide you the same information. So I think one of the things I really appreciate about what Mr. Hancock has also suggested is that we get on this early, because all 17 counties from the Bluegrass ad are going to be asking for the Bluegrass ad to do this. And if we get on it early, we're not going to be pressed for the end of April. When the new court is in saying, well, we can't make that May 23rd or 30th deadline. So we want to get it in as quickly as possible. So thank you for that, Jeff. Thank you, Robert, for looking into this too. Any questions for Jeff or Robert on this?
So this will be completed by, say, August 1, 2023?
And it's 90-day contract is what we've asked for. They can start as soon as they want to, but May the 23rd, once you put them under contract, would be the date they have
90
to start.
days, yeah.
It has to be a board appointed. We've asked them to start at that point.
June,
So the
July.
same day they appoint the board, it's the same day we've asked them to start. And not to finish no later than 90 days from the date of the board approval.
And I think it sometime by September or something that it has to be to the fiscal court.
Once the fiscal court approves a reapportionment, it is what it becomes the document of choice. It becomes the live document that anybody could go against, could say it's unfair, unfit. It becomes the document the day you approve.
No, I'm talking about from that May 23rd date when a board is appointed by the judge. Do they have 60 days?
They have 60 days to have the formal written and 90 days to complete.
Yeah. Okay.
Who appoints the reapportionment board committee?
I think the judge.
The judge.
I think it's just the judge that does that.
Because there will be some areas that decrease and there will be some that increase.
Yeah.
Just from the census data that I've seen.
It's going to be interesting. Without this technology, Robert said we could do it with staff.
The contiguous, we already have some.
But we need about 80 hours, 90 hours of Robert's time. And I don't know if you know this or not, but getting 90 hours of Robert's time, I need 4 years. So
That's true.
It's a lot. I think what we're going to see some shifts from your side of town. We're going to see some shifts that have come in into the bigger neighborhoods that have come in. Think about this since 2010. Duckers, Pine Hill, Westridge. I mean, I can go through them one right after another. These are all brand new developments that in 2010, they might have existed in lots, but they didn't exist in people.
When I came on the court, I had 2 houses on Brazil Road for two terms.
Yeah.
Is it possible that a magisterial district will be dropped?
No. I mean, you would have to make a vote for that to happen, and then Rick or somebody far.
Streets have changed in your district, Marty. When I was magistrate, there were several streets that changed precincts.
Yeah.
Evergreen was one, Farmville was one.
I'm not disputing that at all, but I'm just saying if it's trying to be an equal number or somewhat equal in each magisterial district, we may even add or drop
That's right.
a district.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I thought.
A precinct.
I don't think we're going to.
A district would be 8,000 people.
Yeah.
You might lose a precinct. I lost a precinct
Oh, but not a district.
No, that's what,
I've
that's
got a question. What if, in redistricting, a magistrate got dislocated out of his district?
It's a great question.
That's why they,
What happens in that case is they finish out their term. And then if they choose to run again, they run in their new location.
that's why the legislature decided to put off the redistricting until after the election.
That's why
Right,
they put it back on you all. That's exactly right.
back on us.
By moving it, by doing their redistricting and making your reapportionment later, they put it back on you. They drew their lines. They know where their lines sit. They got challenged at the court level. They know where their lines sit. This reapportionment puts it back on you. And quite frankly, if we use the data the way we're supposed to use the data and we get things corrected, there are things in this map that need to be corrected. I'll use you as an example. Secretariat is one street that you're the magistrate of.
The backside of it.
The backside of it, one side of a backside of a street. And most of your constituents on that street may not realize that. They may think that.
Oh, they know. I'm walking.
But you
Well, and
understand what
also
I'm
the
saying.
Maples.
Huh?
Then you cross Georgetown Road and go to the Maples.
Right. And then you have.
Contiguous is touchy there.
Right. And then you have Eastover and Westover. One side's one magistrate, one side's the other magistrate. Those are things that, quite frankly, it's time to clean up. If we had the technology to fix it, let's let technology do what it's supposed to do.
Cardwell Lane's like that for you and me.
Oh, yeah. Cardwell Lane, one side of it is First and the other side is Fifth.
Yeah.
That's right. And then for some reason, Robert gave me another neighborhood, which I wasn't happy about. But I took it. But I'm not taking any more. I mean, but
Oh, okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Jeff, Robert, so you will have a contract, we'll have a contract on our next court meeting.
They are, and I won't be here for that 22nd meeting, but Robert will be here to present that. I'm the one that insisted going ahead and getting this on here because I knew I wouldn't be here for the 22nd. I wanted you to hear it from my mouth as the clerk, that the safest way to do this is through Bluegrass Ad, and make sure that we're getting our census blocks matched up with our redistricting and our reapportionment, and make sure things are as correct as we can get them.
yeah,
And as correct as we can get them is a 99.9% factor, but there's still it's still a 99.9% factor. But this will be, it'll be a far cry from where me and Robert started sitting down looking at street maps, trying to figure out which side of Westover is this and what side of, it'll be a far cry from that.
all right.
Be more exact. That's what we want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank
Thank you, Robert.
Sure, thank
The next item on the agenda is authorization to approve the reappointment of Allison Dippenbrock to the Franklin County Tourist and Convention Commission, the Chamber of Commerce, position for a term expiring June 30th, 2025. It's the Chamber of Commerce position.
That's the campground person.
Just to make sure that the city voted on this individual the other night, and then we have to vote, and that's it.
It's a joint appointment? Okay.
Next item on the agenda is the second reading approval amendment number 5 to ordinance number 6, 2021, relating to budget for the fiscal year. Miss Susan, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 on here. Welcome, Miss Susan. Oh, there she is. Hey, live and in living color.
I'm so glad to see
You
her.
remember when the old TV that said live and in living color? And you got a peacock.
We didn't have color for a long
Yeah,
time.
there was peacock at that. Got to look at it.
That's right, yeah.
Well, I saw the business miles, the horses of different colors and you know.
They sure did. We did.
Well, first of all, Happy New Year's Eve.
It is. Tomorrow's a new fiscal year.
This, well, let's see, what's first? Chicken.
It's your budget transfer.
Relating to budget transfer, second reading.
Yes, that's a lot of eggs in the basket. We address this issue annually, typically at the very end of the year to do some cleanup for activities we've already approved and things we've already approved. Squire Sebastian.
Just a quick question about
Yes.
the interlocal special events, 0154205548, which you'll find on the second page, the second from the top.
Yes.
What is that?
It's $10,000 for the fair, $5,000 for Juneteenth, and then the first one, the original
Bourbon on the
budgeted
Banks.
item was Bourbon on the Banks. Thank you.
Okay, fair Juneteenth.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Yes, good question. So this is going to basically do some alignments. I always consult with the department heads about these transfers and of course the jailer. And they're well aware because they're the ones doing the spending. We're on the back end, trying to get the budgets to align up. So hopefully this will serve that purpose. The cash transfer, this is with the jail. We do have a situation where we need more general funds for the jail than what we budgeted. So this will be an additional amount. I'd estimated 100,000. It looks like it might be closer to 50 or 60 because I've booked a few more receipts from the canteen and so forth since this report was done.
Oh, okay.
But this will at least provide. You do not want to have any deficit funds. Even though there's plenty of cash in the bank budgetarily, if you spend more than what you take in, then you have that situation. But in their case, it's a revenue issue. They just didn't achieve the federal revenue contracts that they had anticipated. And Jake's well aware of this and is working on, obviously, we discussed this during the budget time, that going forward into this next fiscal year, tomorrow, that we'll have hopefully better contract performance with the jail on the receipt side. So
you're saying that we're putting in more than we need to?
Well, if you recognize, there are funds that don't generate any revenue. The fire fund doesn't generate any revenue. Jail has, some subsidies from the state, but it takes $2.5 million in general funds to make that balance on a regular basis. So, the same thing with the fire fund, it takes budgeted general funds in order to get that to balance. Same thing with the sheriff's fund. We have to budget general funds in order to make up deficits in each of those. Squire Tracy?
Obviously, just finishing up the energy project, savings project, and seeing the $30,000 move to utilities in line item 03-5105 or 01-578. That's concerning considering 75% of the project is the jail. Do we have any idea where that?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
Jailer Bonta is very involved with that. We have forwarded data to ESG regarding our records and our utilization. It appears to be in the water category. Of course, water was supposed to be the key area of savings. Right now, it's not. They did provide a very detailed response to Jailer Bonner when he forwarded that information to them. They are looking into it for explanations. As far as savings goes, comparison, they have base years, which I think the base year figures that I saw from the email looked like a calendar year versus a fiscal year. So there's that issue. Of course, we did use their recommendation for a budgetary savings representation, if you remember at the beginning of fiscal year 2022, and Jay Levanta, in discussion with ESG, made a more conservative estimate than what they gave for the construction year. And so we came down from our budget, $30,000, but it's
we still had a
measuring
conservative
savings.
estimate, didn't we?
Pardon me?
We still had a conservative
We did, but.
We did less than what they told us.
That is correct. That is correct. So it's definitely an area that's going to need some additional review and analysis. And again, measuring savings, anybody that shops at Kohl's, the more you spend, the more you save. And then where does that go? What are you comparing to? Because how much did they build in for increases to begin with, increases in the cost of the utility, and then, but again, water, that's the one you want to look at. Because that's where the money is right now at the jail that's in question. So there was, the idea that, I guess it's a boiler that had to be drained and reloaded and drained and reloaded a couple of times. So that was maybe a factor, but whoever's on that committee, maybe you all will be revisiting this and looking at the data, because as you know, we have part of a contract segment, I think it's $12,000 to pay them, for them to demonstrate that they don't have to pay us back because we have savings or something like that. So
Guaranteed savings.
Yeah, so, but.
Water was one of the last pieces of it. They did electric first, and they came in and did, because of the way the boilers were going to have to work. So I think what we'll do, Susan, I'd like for you and me and Kim next week to get together and review the bills and talk about that, so I can make sure that as well, we're talking with ESG, making sure they're doing the right thing too.
Right, and like I said, Joe Labano's on top of it.
I know he is, yeah.
So
I'll bring him
fill you
in too, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Square Sebastian has a question.
Yeah.
I did. I held this one. Do we need to do an audit of the commissary fund before it goes from us to the new firm? Does that make sense? Or
That's
I held that.
That's a very good question.
for you.
Actually, 6:30, so tomorrow.
Yep.
Or we'll give them 10 days. One of the items that Fiscal Court gets from the jail each year is a commissary report. Okay, and that's, as you know, incorporated into the Fiscal Court audit. Even though Fiscal Court, I don't see the money, you don't see the money, it's under the control of the jail. But they turn over their records for the purpose of the audit. Now, the form of their records is not something I'm real familiar with, and I really don't delve into the detail of what they do or perform that audit. It is the auditor's office. CT Mitchell does that in-depth audit and measures inventory and their reports and reporting for the commissary pretty much solely at that point, so on an annual basis. Now, so absolutely, we should have a firm inventory, which they, I don't know who's handling the commissary right now. Lawrence Wright, when he was there, they were, he trained the ones coming forward. I know they have that incorporated into the processes. What point they do that, I'm not real clear, but for sure there needs to be a very, very, very good closeout on that for moving forward.
Susan, will you send an email? I don't know whether Jake is on. Jake, are you on?
I didn't hear what the timing is for this transition with a new commissary.
I think real soon. Will you send an email asking to make sure that they send us an accounting of their inventory?
Put it on that year-end list is, been working on, I chip on it and it bills, chip and bill, that's what happens.
Sorry, but I know we need to do that.
But you're right, that's, and that will be done, and that is that's another, really something, because of the audit factor, should be considered with any contract with this group, but as Jay Urbana said, we're not doing anything different than, I guess, many of the other jails in the state, so it's a uniform audit process for counties, so ensure it's captured within those vendors' expectations.
Because they expect that to?
Should, we'll see. Should.
Okay.
We'll see how that transitions.
Okay, you've got budget transfer, then cash transfer, then the
Right,
treasury
and
report.
the amendment that we already had, that went through the Department for Local Government's channels, so all of those will be reflected in the new finance statement when you see it. Just preliminary, I did send out, the typical month sum sheet, which is a simplification, believe it or not, of our system report, which I did send the system report, it's called a detailed trial balance. It's more like, I call it a fund balance report where it captures cash for each fund as well as current year's activity. Now, that report is a little bit it's not exactly right because the way it's formatted in the system, they show cash as budgeted. We don't budget our cash, our fund balance. We do not budget our fund balance. But otherwise, we're budgeting each year
Then
our
everything's
receipts and
liquid.
expenditures. But what this report does very quickly, at any point in time it can be run, it shows you where you lie for that fund, which is how we are managed and audited. We can have $22 million in the bank, but it's segmented by funds.
Yeah.
And the ins and outs or the receipts and expenses is measured by fund.
Yeah.
So even though you have, $9 million in your ARPA fund, which you do, that doesn't mean anything for the jail fund, which is $50,000 in the hole, unless we move money between funds, which is what some of that activity is happening here. So basically on that preliminary year end, and this is before, of course, activity night for some of these transfers and our bank reconciliations, but overall we'll end the year with around $22 million in the bank. Now, of that, what is, spoken for or restricted, $9 million of it is ARPA.
Yeah,
So the
that's
only reason we're in the
restricted,
black, we will end in the black for the current fiscal year is because that second tranche of ARPA funds. Otherwise, we're using $641,000 or thereabouts of our prior year's reserves. Now, that being said, we anticipated that because the capital, that ESG project, we were doing construction draws as that project took place.
Yeah.
So, and that project carried forward, so we had to carry the money forward to the next year. It's when you're crossing years.
You've got a hard job.
No, it's business doesn't stop. Business continues even though it's New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. It's
So
still.
it's money we accounted for the previous year, but it carried on into this year.
Yes. So, that kind of activity rolls, and obviously it's going to be continue to be a big issue as you move forward with your obligations on ARPA fund. Now, just in context, not necessarily of this report, but I did, from the last meeting about the Humane Society, just to distill that down, my understanding is we're going to be making $100,000 payments. That's what I have understood each month, and I've already received information from Mr. Marcus from this, that has their AIA document that shows their progress on their contract and percentage of each categories. I could share that with you if you like, but I do have that as basically substantiation for our disbursement of our contribution for the project. So we've established that process, and we'll be making the first draft on the project next fiscal quarter. I would recommend that. That was my understanding of how we would proceed.
Okay, the first draw from that.
Yes,
donation.
was $100,000.
Okay.
For 10 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was that. Let's see, what else did I get? Seems like there was something else.
Can we use ARPA money for that, some of that?
No, okay.
For Humane Society?
Yes.
Well,
no.
Yes, we could. One-time expenditure.
I would, you probably could.
Could,
You
but don't
probably
necessarily
could, but
need to.
that obligation was before ARPA. You all
Correct.
made that obligation before ARPA.
Yeah.
You know, and in
Some of it.
context of the
Not all of it.
broadband project that's coming up, $16 million project, and the way it's configured right now is that you've leveraged about $3 million of county funds from somewhere, and the most logical place would be from, and the way it's, right now, it would be ARPA funds to do that, and in the next 3 years, because otherwise, you know, I'm not sure we're gonna get $1 million a year for something like that. And that's the way it's is configured, at least in my records, until they start the project and begin the drafts, you know, and again, percentage of completion, how are they going to do that when you're a partner? I don't know, well, we are less than 20% partner, the state's a partner, and the plant board's a partner, the state being the largest and the plant board. So unless some of this other infrastructure money gets sorted out and figured out and becomes a piece of the puzzle, which I don't see that happening very quickly,
I mean, from the Congress.
then you're going to, you really need to keep in mind that this ARPA money that's going to be in that project, which sounds like it's going to be hitting the ground for the walkthroughs or whatever pretty soon. But let's see, was there something else? I don't think so. Just very quickly, there is a training that's coming up July 7th. I know we've got the holiday coming up. Don't know if you all monitor that, but I did get a phone call from KCO today encouraging people to attend because it is a live training event here in Frankfurt, and it's on the 7th, and it is regarding financing, long-term financing and issuing debt, since we're going into a new fiscal year where we will be issuing debt, and we are looking at some, you know, some big projects. Any information and education in particular that we can get, you know, on a repeated basis in different forms is very helpful for understanding the tools that you have available and hearing, and even hearing when those things are presented to you by professionals, maybe you can hear better,
Yes,
you know.
understand it more. That's what
Yes,
you
you
mean,
know,
yeah.
get some, a little tune in there. So that's online, that registration's online right now. It's,
Okay.
So I just wanted to pass that, and remind you, you get lost in the holiday issues. Was there other questions?
Your treasury, your
Concerns?
cash, you did that,
We
your treasurer's report,
Covered, that was me blurbing
Got that?
around.
payment of claims.
So,
Treasurer's report, yeah, we got that.
Payment
Your
of claims.
wonderful detailed
Squire
report.
Sebastian has a question.
yeah, I'm looking under the fire fund and the court bills, and that's under account 17-5120-445. Did we purchase letterhead? I thought we were developing our own and then printing that off,
The fire department has their own letterhead that they use.
but they purchase it? I mean, everybody else developed their own letterhead except for fire?
We purchase ours as well.
We purchased letterhead. Okay.
What was the question? I didn't.
About purchasing letterhead?
Oh,
For the fire department.
I mean, I got a template to use for letterhead, so I'm not purchasing it. I'm using that template to print it off when I print the letter. So
There's
that's,
Chief Brewer.
I mean, most people are doing it, and most organizations are doing that now. So I just,
Chief Brewer?
Yes, Squire Sebastian, this is how we have historically done it, but I will look into the cost effectiveness of putting their own. It's generally just not on just plain paper, it's on the actual, more design paper, you know, for more official documentations.
yeah, you're saying bond paper. So, you know, we can buy bond paper off. Typically, most people now just have a template. They run that through their computer and they print it off, as you say, on bond paper, not cheaper and less heavy stock paper.
Andrew,
I just am asking, just
24 pound.
Just asking.
Well, I was just going to add that, and the deputy judge said that we do also print our, have it printed professionally. I think it is possible to move into another direction besides the paper. You know, they also have special machines, and like ours go directly to the edge. You know, and it's a little bit nicer, I think. But if that's printing on in the house, is something we could do, but it just may not be quite as professional or nice.
We'll have to print it in color.
I will be here for that.
All right, thanks.
Okay,
You can
anything
just
else?
Waive the cost.
Anything else? All right.
Wait a minute, hang on. I'm sorry, I gotta look, because we got this one laying here on our table when it came in. Oh, I'm guessing, on the extra one that was laying on our table when we came in, for the jail fund, I'm assuming where this says conference registration, I'm assuming that means hotel, where it says holiday. I'm okay, I'm assuming that's what that meant for the 3 staff at the jail, Jailer Bonta, Mazzacone, and then says Rogers. So, okay, I was assuming that's what that meant, that it wasn't the fee. All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is other business. Andrew, I think let's put up the July 9th military first responders appreciation flyer, if you would. Let the public know about that.
Yes, Judge. Let me get it up here real quick for us. Give me just 1 second here. This event is going to be not this weekend, but the next on July 9th. And it is to celebrate our first responders and their families. As we know, they do a lot for us, and their families unfortunately have to at times make sacrifices as too. So we want to celebrate them, thank them. It's going to be next Saturday from 11:30 to 2:30 at Lakeview Park. It's for active duty military veterans, any sort of first responders, either active duty or retired. The VFW, National Guard, and the city, along with the county, are helping to kind of plan and sponsor the event. If you don't mind, Judge, I've got a quick 30-second video that I put together that I'll show.
Sure, please, thank you.
Yes, just...
The entire Franklin County community is invited to come join in a celebration of our currently serving military service members, veterans, and local first responders for their selfless sacrifice and dedication to Franklin County. It's the Franklin County Military and First Responder Family Appreciation Day. It happens at Lakeview Park Saturday, July 9th from 11:30 till 2:30. Come out for free snacks, games, prizes, and more. Register today. Find Franklin County Military and First Responder Family Appreciation Day on Facebook.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
Sebastian has a question.
Not for Andrew, I just have a separate question under other business.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not for Andrew. Yeah.
Let's get through that. All right, any other questions about the July 9th? I hope all of you can come out. Be a really nice time to give thanks to the families of that have people that are serving. All right. Now, Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. When can we, when can the court resume doing road trips throughout the county? Haven't done one for a couple of years. I mean, I'm assuming everybody's hearing about potholes. I know I'm hearing about them not only in my district, but all over the county. I'm hearing about them everywhere and other things. So,
We were discussing a road trip previously, so if y'all want to get some dates together and some areas.
You mean
We probably ought to do it in August.
you're depending on us to give you
Let's look at August.
positions to
Doing it.
look at
okay. Thank you.
locations? Okay.
We could do it after a Friday morning meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we have a Friday morning meeting in August.
We only do.
August 12th.
August 12th.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's look at it if that's our.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is We are going to go into closed session tonight after our regular voting session for just a bit. The next item is constitutional offices, department reports, committee updates. Anybody have any department heads, any committees, updates, or constitutional officers? Mr. Hewitt?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge. I want to advise the court I have an opening in the part-time land use planner position. We discussed this at the last meeting, and I would like to receive direction from the court as to whether or not that position can be advertised as a part-time or a full-time, so that I can coordinate with the Human Resources Director.
Okay, and you said you needed, this has been a part-time position, but you need it as a full-time position because of the workload?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Once we had a part-time position filled, it demonstrated the need for that position to be full-time. The employee that filled that position has moved on, but I think a full-time position would provide additional stability, and it helps with the workload within the office, as well as leave time and things of that nature. I think if a full-time position is advertised, I think you're going to look for more stability in that position. And as I said before, I would recommend and hope that the court would agree that a full-time position is warranted. But I'm just looking for direction so I can get together with HR and get it advertised.
Hey, Joe or Robert, do you all have the amount difference it would take?
Yes, this is Betty Jo. The amount that it would take to get a full-time position would be about $19,000 extra.
Okay. All right. On top of how much is already there?
25,200 is already there.
Okay.
The,
You're looking at about a $45,000 a year job, is what you're saying.
at the most, yes.
All right, court?
Let's say we need to.
I say we need it too.
Booming out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think Robert showed us the need, but he gave us all the information we asked for, so.
He sure did.
And the city will be sharing the cost until they are no longer need them, right?
Correct.
Now,
Right.
is this
No,
person?
no.
Different position?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a different position.
Right,
This is
okay.
the plan
Yeah.
position.
Planning office, not inspector.
Right.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
And
Robert, it sounds like the court is giving you the okay to go to a full-time position.
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Squire Muller, you okay with that? All right,
so while he is working with Betty Jo to get that position advertised, would y'all like for me to go ahead next meeting, put it on there for official approval to reclassify as a full-time position? That way, when it's ready to hire, we'll only have that action to take care of.
Yes.
Okay.
all right. Anybody else? Any department heads? Any committee reports?
This is Betty Jo. I have a question about that, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Sorry. Can we go ahead and advertise? I'm sorry, I might have missed that.
Yes.
We don't have to wait to the, okay.
How would we wait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Go ahead
Tamara
and
just said
advertise.
that, when Tamara just said to officially put it on the agenda to vote on, I just want to be clear to make sure that it's okay to advertise.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. All right.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we need to, look for another candidate or another choice for treasurer?
We're gonna be going into
We're going into
closed
closed
session
session
talk
to
about
discuss that.
position.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's my answer.
Charlie Lewis.
Thank you, Judge Court.
just, I'm not sure when our next meeting is, but it might fall the week of Fair Week. So I wanted to remind you guys, excuse me, about the fair coming up in July, the 19th through the 23rd. Thank you.
22nd is our next meeting, I think.
It's a morning meeting, so
We should be good to
we'll
go.
be good to go.
Yeah, okay. That's coming. It'll be here soon. Thank you.
But go to the fair. Everybody go to the fair.
Okay. All right, we've got that. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. Y'all ready to roll or you want to recess?
When we go to closed session, we can take that.
Okay, all right, so, all right, we're not gonna recess. We're gonna move on into the work session.
You mean voting session?
I'm sorry, the voting session.
Oh, yeah.
We know what he meant.
Hang on. Where's the vote? Thank you. All right. All right. Hang on, Susan and Lambert, okay. Hang on, just teacher. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. This is the Franklin County Fiscal Court Video Teleconference regular meeting, our voting session for June 30th, 2022. Clerk, call the roll.
What happened to the 5-minute break?
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
We dismissed.
Present.
Squire Muller.
Present.
Squire Tracy. Squire Booth.
Present.
Squire Moore.
Here.
Judge Wells.
Here. Next item is authorization for approval of minutes from a regular meeting of June 16th, 2022.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy. Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization to receive the final payment of the 2021 excess fees in the amount of $95,362.34 from the county clerk, which makes it over $1 million that we've received.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization to approve an order of allowance to the Board of Assessment Appeals by the county clerk.
So.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization to approve a memorandum of agreement between the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Corrections and the Franklin County Regional Jail to establish an agreement for program facilitator for services from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is, that is going to be removed from the agenda, sorry, all right. The next item is authorization to approve the reappointment of Allison Dettenbrock to the Franklin County Tourist and Convention Commission, the Chamber of Commerce position for a term ending June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization to approve budget transfers for the fiscal year 2021, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is authorization to approve cash transfer or cash transfers for fiscal year 2021, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is second reading approval amendment number 5 to ordinance number 6, 2021 relating to the budget for fiscal year 2021, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is authorization to receive the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
Squire Sebastian?
Yes.
Squire Blackburn?
Yes.
Squire Muller?
Yes.
Squire Tracy?
Yes.
Squire Booth?
Yes,
Squire Moore?
Yes.
Judge Wells?
Yes. The next item is payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any payment of any claims? Seeing none, let the record reflect the claims are ordered to be paid. The next item is authorization to amend the agenda to go into closed session.
So moved.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian?
Yes.
Squire Blackburn?
Yes.
Squire Muller?
Yes.
Squire Tracy?
Yes.
Squire Booth?
yes.
Squire Moore?
Yes.
Judge Wells?
Yes. Okay, we will go into, authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.815, Section 1, Section F. Personnel discussions which might lead to the appointment of a treasurer. No action will be taken during this closed session.
So moved.
All right.
Squire Sebastian?
Yes.
Squire Blackburn?
Yes.
Squire Muller?
Yes.
Squire Tracy?
Yes.
Squire Booth?
Yes.
Squire Moore?
Yes, again.
Judge Wells?
Yes.
More twice, I wonder.
Okay.